the other thing that became apparent to me just yesterday, actually, is I was walking through the woods and I was appreciating the nature, and I was seeing that nature never needs fixing. It doesn't need us to fix it. It just sits there. No, even more than that, actually. Nature doesn't try to fix us. Now I've been going down this kind of rabbit hole as I've been learning about plants. I was listening to a talk last week, and there was a woman there, and she was talking about the health and healing properties of nature. And what she was talking about there is very in the form, but what she was talking about is how trees and how nature resonates at a different frequency to human beings, and it's slower, right? When you think about, and I've been reading about, the lifespan of trees, the hundreds and hundreds of years of a lifespan of a tree. When you think about the slow growth, the solidity behind a tree, there's something about that, and that every living thing resonates at a particular frequency, right? Like just the electrical charge, I guess, behind life. I don't know, this is beyond my pay grade, right? But I got it that there's a frequency to nature. And she even used the word, it grounds you. It takes that busy buzzy charge, and if you walk and are present in nature, it will ground you, right? Which I thought was a lovely parallel to our conversations that we're having. Now, I don't know whether that's true or not. I haven't looked into the science behind it. But it would not surprise me that the intelligence behind the universe places this amazing resource on our doorstep that invites us to connect with it if we're willing. But it doesn't try and come and, the parallel with the work that I do and many of you do who are trying to share this understanding with other people, it's like it doesn't come and try and get me to fix me, nature, right? What it does is it just sits there being everything that it is, being the peacefulness that it is, being resonating at the frequency it does, grounding, just having grounding properties in its very essence, right? Really close to the source from which it came. And it just sits there doing its grounded thing, and it waits. And now the invitation is always there for us to go and engage with it. And if and when we do, and we are open and listening and receptive, when we fall out of thought and find ourselves in nature, it touches us. And that being touched by the oneness of life is healing. It's calming, it's healing. And so I was just really struck by the difference between, and I have definitely done this, like going out and trying to share what it is that I've seen that's helpful and trying to bring people on board and show people what it is that I've seen. The difference between that and being in the knowing that you have, and knowing that that will resonate with people who come into your world. Always less to do than we think, right? But seeing that yesterday was so cool to see. It's like the trees don't work on being better at sharing their grounding. They don't work at getting better grounding. They already are, and they know it. The difference is we already are, but we don't know it. But imagine if it was as simple as those trees, where we are already grounded. We are already of the essence of which we're created. How could we not be? And to know that that is enough. Now, and this is just me talking, right? This isn't me teaching the principles, but what I saw for me is that, that nature has been this drive towards thriving that happens. This nature has been calling me for years. to come, step away from your office, Nick, step away from the computer, re-engage back in life. And it's really been calling me this year. But as I was reflecting on it yesterday, I was thinking, gosh, it is no mistake that at the time when I was really stressed in 2013, like at the height of my anxiety, just before I found the principles, we bought this house in 2013. We moved into this house. We'd bought it previously, but we fell in love with this house because of its garden. And we thought it was because, oh, look at this beautiful garden. The kids will love this. They'll just run about all day outside. Of course, the kids never stepped foot in the garden ever because they were too busy on their devices. And so we just had this garden, which we pretty much neglected for the last 7 years. I thought we bought this house for our kids to enjoy the garden. And it turns out maybe this was the reason why, but I never knew at the time, so that I can go out and enjoy and grow my flowers to give away. But what I saw was that, like yesterday, I had the insight, oh, nature's pulling me. Life is inviting me to go engage in life outside of my office, outside of the seeking, outside of the studying, outside of the, again and again, I don't know how often I have to see it, but it's saying, come this way, come out, engage in life. And I love it when I have an insight and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm totally up for that. And then I realize, oh, hang on a minute, that's already happening. I look back at this year and I see I've been spending way more time outside and way less time in the Facebook group with you guys, right? I have been, but then that's when I realized, my goodness, like 8 years ago, I discovered this house. 7 years ago, I moved into this house. I moved out of out of the city. 10 years ago, I moved out of London. I moved to France, to the mountains in France by a lake. And then I moved here to this beautiful place in the country. And then it occurred to me to get a dog. And because of that dog, I've been walking in those woods for the last 7 years. Incidentally, the same amount of time that I've been involved in the principles conversation. And it suddenly got me thinking, wow, the power of wisdom and mind that has been taking me out in the woods for the last 7 years. Whether there are healing properties out there or not, I don't know, right? But I was just struck by, that would be, I totally see what life is trying to do, and then realizing, oh, it's already been doing that for the longest time. And so that's my insight that I'm kind of sitting with around nature, is that it's there. It's like God has placed this, you know, when I use the word God, right? Like we've had this discussion, so I'm free to use this word. But it's like God has placed these jewels in this most beautiful gardens outside, these beautiful woods, these beautiful forests, these beautiful beaches, these beautiful outside with these grounding properties, which essentially just are our own soul being reflected back to us in form, and invited us to come explore them, put this grounding resource outside of our doors, and hasn't pushed it down our necks, hasn't said, come this way, come on, I can fix you. But it's just sat there waiting for us to notice its existence. And when we do, and we accept that invitation, even if you walk around the woods for 7 years with your head full of thought, somehow there's grounding that happens. Somehow there's a quietening that happens as our soul and nature kind of commune and connect at the level below thought. It's kind of like being in the principles conversation, right? Like if you let it be. Imagine if, right, when you're walking in the woods, there was a grounding going on that you couldn't really, I didn't know that for the last 7 years, right? I didn't know that there's a grounding going on, and I haven't known that for the last 48 years, that there's a grounding property to nature. But imagine just by walking in the woods that grounding occurs without us ever having to think about it or analyze it or speak about it or know about it in our intellectual mind, but yet the magic happened anyway. That's a little bit what it's like to be in the principles conversation, to my mind, is to treat it like a walk through the woods. Let it work its magic in a way you don't even need to understand. If you start thinking about it, there are so many paradoxes, so many twists and turns, so much to wrap your head around that just takes you away from the magic that's already and always working as a result of being in this conversation. So my invitation for you this week is to go be in nature in whatever way that looks to you, and then come share in the Facebook group what you realised for yourself about the truth of the principles in that exploration. This is going to be a fun month, I can tell already, and very close to my heart. So I hope you enjoy this course this month. I'm hoping that I'll have flowers every week of this month to be able to create these videos with, so you can see my latest garden creations. This one is a beauty and I am absolutely obsessed with her. I think she's gorgeous. But hopefully I'll be able to show you some of the others that I've grown as we go through the month together. Take care. I look forward to seeing what you share in the Facebook group.